What's going on, everyone? So it's going to be very interesting to see what happens with Rui Hachimura and the Los Angeles Lakers. Rui Hachimura has been very good for them. I still believe that he, is a guy that is slotted out of position and a better natural 4 than he is a 3, but he has really adapted, molded, and evolved into being that kind of quality, 3-and-D guy. The defense not really been great, although to his credit, he was actually much better towards the back half of the season. He's also one of the few guys that has actually showed up in the playoffs for the Lakers, right? But he's just not playing that more expanded role. He's primarily just relegated to being a catch and shoot 3-point shooter. But he has kind of molded and adapted his game to kind of fit alongside LeBron James and Anthony Davis, then LeBron James and now Luka Doncic. So, he's a guy that I do think has a lot of value for the Lakers. He's also your biggest kind of sizable expiring contract, which is part of the reason why I think more likely than not he gets traded at some point. I think especially as we get closer to training camp, right? The Lakers' expiring contracts are an appreciating asset, right? The longer you can kind of hold on to them, the more value they're going to gain, because you're going to get to the trade deadline. You're going to have teams that want to get off salary, or you're going to get teams that thought they were going to be good that aren't, that are like, okay, let's kind of reshuffle the deck here a little bit, right? And they're going to be willing to get off some guys. Or you're going to get teams that don't want to be good that are good. Like every year, there's that team that everyone thinks is going to be bad that actually is pretty good. And there's that team that everyone thinks is going to be pretty good that ends up being pretty bad, right? So you're going to have all these different options that are going to open up. And we've seen, right, expiring contracts are keen, right? Teams are willing to actually trade guys just for expiring contracts now, where that wasn't the case. They usually wanted to get a asset, right? Whether it's picks or a young player or whatever. Now you're seeing teams kind of value on both sides. You're seeing teams that are trading the expiring contracts going like, hey, these have real value now. And you're seeing teams on the other side going like, hey, we do value that enough to warrant, trading this guy. Obviously, you're not going to get like a Giannis or something like that for just expiring contracts, but, various role guys, players that maybe are slightly overpaid or whatever, if it makes sense and is justified for the Lakers, you make that trade, right? Like in Andrew Wiggins, right? Come the trade deadline, like right now, Miami might not be interested, but Miami's not very good. And, you get into the trade deadline and they're like, we'd like to get off and have the cap flexibility. Well, here you go. We have the expiring contracts. But the other side of it is like, would they keep Rui? Right? Are they going to, maybe give him a new contract next season? It's very possible, but are they going to sign him to a long-term deal? Right? They could offer him a new extension right now. They haven't. And according to Jovan Buha, the Lakers aren't, right? Because they want to keep that cap flexibility going into next season, which I don't really get, if I'm being honest, right? Like the 2027 route, sure, I get it. If, right, you see Giannis is still, he's getting ready to, ask for a trade or whatever, which again, if he ends up getting traded, right, he's probably signing a new extension with whatever team that is, unless you're the Lakers. But if you don't have players and you'll have 3 firsts next offseason, right? But if you don't have players and stuff to send out, right? You could maybe absorb him, do Austin Reeves and, absorb the cap space and give them a huge trade exception, or whatever. But is that something that because you got to remember, Milwaukee can't bottom out. They can't. They don't have picks. They don't have any of the stuff. So they can't just be like, okay, let's bottom out for the next 3 years, stack up as much as they can. Right. And so, and especially the Lakers picks are probably not going to be that great given that they'd have Luka and Giannis on the team. Right. So, it'd be nice to have guys like Rui Hachimura, Austin. It's like, okay, we can give you these picks. Plus we can give you a Rui, we can give you a, Austin Reeves. We can give you a Dude Theroux. We can give you these things. Right. Same thing with a Nikola Jokic. If he signs the extension next year, there goes that. But if he doesn't, if Denver for a moment thinks that they're going to lose him for nothing, they're going to put him on the market and trade him, right? So again, it's the same thing. It's like, okay, well, are the Lakers just going to absorb his entire contract? They're going to want players. They're going to want pieces. They're going to want things in return, right? So, and then you look at the free agency in 2026, nobody makes sense, right? The kind of players that you would want to sign for the Lakers are guys like Rui Hachimura, right? So like, what are you doing? You're signing him to a 1-year deal, right? This is why the cap situation it doesn't really make sense to me, because it's like, okay, almost all your guys, like if they all lined up in 2027, sure, right? Because it's like, okay, next year they'll all be expiring. So if Giannis becomes available, right, you can trade all those guys to go get Giannis or Jokic, right? But if you not, and they do go in, and there is a chance that they go into free agency, now all that money falls off the books. So if the Lakers, if like Rui and Gabe and all these guys were all expiring in 2027, all of this would make all the sense in the world. Because again, it's like, okay, next season they're all expiring contracts, so you could trade them for a star, plus you have 3 first-round picks, so you have like all this expiring, so a team doesn't have to take on a bunch of bad contracts, right? Bunch of expiring, bunch of picks, couple young guys that you could throw in there, and like a Dalton Connect and a Dude Thero and all that stuff, right? Now you have a very good competitive package. But again, with the situation the Lakers are in right now, where everything expires after this season, it's like, now what do you do, right? And again, like, what if Austin Reeves is really good? So you're going to give Austin Reeves a new contract, let's say $30 million, right? Okay, so you give Austin Reeves $30 million, that taps into your cap space. Let's say DeAndre Ayton's really good for the Lakers, right? What if he's every bit the guy and he's our franchise center now? Well, you're probably paying him $25 million, right? So there's $55 million that that is going to be in your cap sheets next season. And then, you're going to have to make a decision on, like a Jake LaRavia. Like, what if Jake LaRavia is really good for you? Right? Now, all of a sudden, you're going to give him a new extension. And then a Dude Thero the following year is going to be due a new contract because you only give him a 3-year deal, right? Like, by the time everything's done, at the end of this year, it's like you're probably re-signing everybody. So it's like, why not just kind of deal with it now, right? Like, who's going to become, there's not like a free agent that we don't know about is going to magically become a free agent. Yeah, you could end up getting buyouts or something, but those are going to end up being on vet minimum deals or your mid-level exception or whatever. Right? Like, question is, though, too, is how much does Rui want? Right? He's making, 17, 18 million. Is he like, I want 20, 25 million? Or is he willing to kind of stay around that 17 million range? Right? If he's willing to kind of stay, hey, I'll take, give me a new deal at, 4 years, whatever, 64 million or something like that, 65 million. Right? To where it's like he's averaging like 17 and a half. Like he goes, 17 and a half, 18 and a half, something like that. To where, it all adds up to, 65 million or whatever, right? Like something like that. If he was doing like a 4-year, $65 million deal, perfect. Right? But again, it's just like, and if Rui kind of continues to be good for them and it's just, I'd like to keep Rui. I would. I don't think the Lakers can. I think that they're either A, he's just going to leave next season and you're going to lose him for nothing, or B, you're going to trade him to get, that Andrew Wiggins or whatever, right? Like, because again, like at least Andrew Wiggins, like you'd have for that 1 year, unless are you going to sign Rui to a 1-year deal? But why would Rui do that? Why would Rui sign a 1-year deal? It doesn't make sense for him. Like if he gets, knock on wood, if he gets hurt or something, right, he's going to want a long-term contract. Unless no one's willing to give him that, but I just don't see that. I think even he'd be better off, like let's say the Lakers offered him 1 year, 20 million, right? He'd be better off taking 4 years, 10 million, because at least he has that money guaranteed, 40 million guaranteed over the next 4 years, right? Like rather than the 20 million right now, and then they might trade him or cut him or whatever. Like it's just, I just think it's weird. It's a weird spot to be in, particularly for Rui Hachimura. Like Gabe Vincent and, all the other, like, Maxi Kleber and stuff like that. That's fine, right? Like, you just lose them for nothing. I'd like to kind of trade these expirings and get pieces and stuff, at least for the next 2 years, like this year and next year, right? And then it'd be nice, again, to have some salary to go and pull off a trade, right? Like, if you go and, Nikola Jokic becomes available and you have, Rui and some of these other guys, right? You can trade them in that trade, or you can go and, maybe it's a 3-team deal, right? Like, maybe they're like, hey, we do want just the trade exception, but we want more picks. Well, then maybe you can turn Andrew Wiggins into like, a protected first or something like that, right? And just be like, hey, hey, you guys can just have, because now you're landing, a Jokic or something, right? Like, again, we won't know until, we get there. We won't know until next offseason and everything kind of plays out and how things work. Or, between now and the trade deadline, the Lakers end up trading Rui or something like that. We won't know how this plays out until it actually plays out. And look, maybe, we'll look back and be like, man, that was a great decision, right? Like, because in the end, if the Lakers end up landing Giannis or Jokic, like, if I know, and I've talked about this, right? If I know Jokic is coming either next offseason or in 2027, I'm doing whatever I have to in order to make sure I get him. Right? Obviously, you want to be competitive this year, have a chance to win a championship, but you're looking at like, hey, next year we're going to get Jokic, and he's going to come in, and we're going to go contend. Because you got to remember, too, the original reports were 2026, and then it changed. It was like, oh, no, 2027, right? And then it was all like, oh, they're going to get Jokic and Giannis, right? Well, it just so happens that, Jokic and Giannis are available in 2027 by free agents, but the likelihood that they actually go into free agency is very slim. So I think more likely than not, the Lakers are probably going to have to trade for them. But we'll see. Time will tell. Anyway, as always, this is a discussion. I pass a question on you. Let me know your thoughts and opinions down in the comments. That being said, if you haven't liked this video, hit that like button. Helps me out. So we enjoy these types of videos, and I truly appreciate it. Not subscribe channel, hit that subscribe button. Turn on the bell notifications. Appreciate y'all. See you in the next one.